We've got Heroscape, Age of Annihilation, Rising Tide. Let's find out which of these gave Gastel the most value, the most excitement, and which changed the game the most. Here on Legendary Tactics. Gastel, you've had some time to work through this set. You actually pre-ordered it?
I ordered the whole set.
You just couldn't hang on until I got my set in.
I could not wait.
That's awesome.
I could not wait.
We are going to determine which one has the most value, which one you were most excited about, and which changed the game for you most.
Well, let me interject for a second there. Not only am I going to say which one changed the most, but I think I'm going to try to convince you which one is the best.
Okay. And so I get to choose at the end which one you sell me on the most.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Okay, I look forward to seeing what we have. So where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with value. Heroscape is not an inexpensive product. When you're collecting it, you want to collect a lot of it, and the individual sets can be quite pricey. So if you're only going to buy one or two sets, I would suggest going for the Oathbound Phalanx and the Queen Maledrix and the Festering Honor Guard.
We got to check this out. I have to say, from a person who's buying something, this feels like a baseball. It's heavy, it's one square, and it's got these really cool bugs crawling all over it. But what does it feel like to play this character?
Yeah, don't let the great sculpt, don't let that just be your guide. This is a very effective force to put together. You are going to feel like you are a bug swarm encroaching on your enemies, making their skin crawl as you creep closer and closer and closer. Sort of like Linegan versus the Ants.
Which I've never heard of, but is apparently amazing.
It is amazing. You should read it.
That's awesome. Okay, so this is the one that you got the best value from.
Yeah, that paired with this, I think, would be the second one I would purchase.
Okay, yeah.
So Queen Maledrix, again, just look at this sculpt. Have some fun with that.
Yeah. Again, this is a heavy chunk of plastic or whatever it's made out of. It's awesome.
And look at the parasites. The parasites are tiny, but they're creepy looking. Like got little fangs and little arms and these little, they're coming after you.
Nice. And these can latch on to other players?
That's right. And then every turn that they have one latched on, you roll a d20, and if it's 17 or higher, they're done.
Oh, wow. So it's just clawing into them.
Yeah, you could put that on top of a really strong opponent and just wait and
just get a lucky roll.
Well, eventually it'll happen, right?
That's a cool dynamic. I love it. Okay, well, let's move on to the next element. This is the one that you were the most excited about. And so tell me about which of these pieces got you jazzed?
Actually, the Hellforge was the one I was the most excited for. It was the one that I kept, when I was researching this product, it was the one I kept going back to and looking at. I love the idea of this sort of heat box that's roaming around on the map. And
this guy is sweet. Again, it's a single space.
A single space, and I wish it was a double space, actually, because I'm a little disappointed in the sculpt. I don't like the arms coming straight out from the body. I wish it had been more of a sort of a Dr. Octopus sort of look, sort of thing. However, you liked it very much when you saw it the first time.
I think it looks awesome. Yeah, this is super cool. Now, this does sort of occupy the space in front of it as well. This way, so you would have to have a slim character there?
Yeah, something like that, or you're going to have to wedge things together. That looks like an awesome battle.
That would be a really good one. And this guy does some damage. If people are around it, there's just the heat is pouring off this.
Just heat, even while he's moving. If he walks by someone, they can get damaged. But it's friend and foe, so you have to be a little careful about going in as a support character. You're more of a frontline battler.
Looks like a little bit of a mech where there's a little man controlling the mech.
yeah, I can see that. I have to admit the sculpt is growing on me the more and more I look at it, but my initial thoughts were I didn't love the sculpt.
Interesting, yeah. I'm loving the contrast with these two.
Very cool. Well, that's one thing I love about Heroscape, because it's sort of like this idea of all these different worlds coming together. You've got mechanical worlds, you've got organic worlds, they're coming together. You've got ones with wings, you've got ones that swim.
Human heroes versus animals pairings. And
Exactly. Even in the original set, there was like 1812 warriors that could fight with their muskets and stuff. The variety is excellent.
That's brilliant. Okay, next we have the components that changed the game the most for you. Are we talking in terms of mechanism or theme?
Well, I have to admit, I'm most familiar with the Age of Annihilation system. And the Kyrie warriors here seem to be in every single system, but this box here has a little bit for anybody. So if you want healing, it's in here. If you want movement, it's in here. This box is the most dynamic of all of the boxes.
Wow, okay. And I mean, for the size of the box, you end up getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters?
5 good hero characters.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so that makes a big difference.
It's not a squad. These guys have more than one hit point in general. And
I'm surprised this wasn't your value box then.
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Kyrie Warriors, only because the Kyrie Warriors have been in every single set.
Right.
And so
there
that's
isn't the excitement factor.
this one, yes. And that's part of the value, right? I want to
something
have something cool. And the whole idea of insects crawling over the board, for me, was very fresh and interesting to explore.
That's awesome. Okay, very cool. So we've got a few contenders left here. So let's pull down...
Space Bears.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. With mortars this time.
We got the beavers and the foxes and all kinds of woodland creatures.
I have to admit, the sculpts in this, if you're really into the sculpts in this particular box are fantastic.
Solon and Halucia, and we have a character who looks familiar to me, almost like the one from the previous set with the tiger and...
Which was a Kyrie warrior.
Yes, that's right. And then we also have the Iron Lich Viscerat and Neurotech Wraith Riders. Necrotech. Oh,
yeah,
right,
come on, you got to get the adjectives right.
Yeah, no kidding. There's always an adjective in
There's extra adjectives, that's right.
For sure. Okay, so which of these do you think might appeal to me the most?
Well, I have to say this is the most basic.
Okay, and those are the guys, they start off the map, they fly in and land. So they can be surprise attacks.
Surprise attacks,
Not bad.
deep infiltration, maybe causing your opponent to think about their back lines and not just charging towards you, you know.
I do like somebody who's a little tricksy and has like unexpected moves. So that's a potential. Okay, now Rusky, when we played with him, he loved the bears.
Rusky's gonna be, this is the one with the best for Rusky. Rusky wants to have a whole army of bears. This is more.
Because he gets lots of characters. Those guys run in, they bash somebody immediately with their cudgel, or they can stay back and launch mortars.
Yeah, the squad stays back and the hero goes in and dices it up.
Okay, that sounds cool. And then we got a couple different characters in here. I like the idea you were telling me about this fellow who he runs by and attacks people on the go.
Yeah, he's one of the few people who can run and attack at the same time.
He can emerge out of the woods too, sort of.
Yeah, well, not emerge out of the woods, but he can sort of not only control beast characters, but he can also... Usually if a character is beside a piece of terrain, like a tree or something, they gain an extra die. He negates that extra die because the tree starts to attack you.
Gotcha.
I actually felt when I read that rule that it might be better if the person lost 2 dice rather than just 1.
So it might be a little underpowered?
It might be a little underpowered, but at the same time, I'm sure there's been tons of play testing, and it's a super fun character to play.
Well, it could be cool, too. If people find him underpowered, they can just change that stat.
Yeah. I mean, games are just games, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we've got this guy. I have to confess, of all the characters on the table, this one looked the coolest. So let's get him out of the box.
Yeah, I have a custom painted version of this guy.
Oh, do you?
He looks amazing.
He looks so cool.
Yeah, look at that guy.
Check that out. That is brilliant. Okay, so, and does this serve a function, the fact that he's really tall?
Well, he just steps over top of small or medium characters. He doesn't even stop. He just goes...
His own and enemies as well?
Anybody, yeah.
Amazing, okay. Yeah. And then he's got these little guys on balls who can roll around.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
They lasso people and draw them in.
And draw them in. Now, they do have a restriction to their mobility because they do run around on balls, but I like the idea of that diversity, you know, it's one new way of thinking about movement, and they've included that in this game. Very creative.
Okay, hands down, I have to say you've sold me on this.
That's the one you want.
This is the one. I want to walk over people. I want to sting them as I go by with my little pincers and loop them in with these guys, pull them close and then attack them.
Rusky and I had an epic battle with those guys, so
fantastic.
Definitely a good choice.
That is awesome. Well, thank you for joining us at Legendary Tactics. If you have any thoughts on any of these Rising Tide characters, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Now get out there,
get gaming,
and be legendary.